محمد وآل محمد. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. سبح اسم ربك الأعلى الذي خلق فسوى والذي قدر فهدى والذي أخرج المرعى فجعله غثاء نحوا سنقرئك فلا تنسى إلا ما شاء الله إنه يعلم الجهر وما ونيسرك لليسرى فذكر إن نفعت الذكرى سيذكر من يخشى ويتجنبها الأشقى الذي يصلى النار الكبرى ثم لا يموت فيها ولا يحيا قد أفلح من تزكى وذكر اسم ربه فصلى بل تؤثرون الحياة الدنيا والآخرة خير وأبقى إن هذا لفي الصحف الأولى صحف إبراهيم وموسى صدق الله العلي العظيم. الفاتحة. تسبقها ذكر الصلاة على محمد وآل محمد.
Ahsant, Brother Mustafa. Thank you for your great recitation. Let's give him a loud salawat. Dear brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Once again, I'd like to welcome you to our weekly MYC Friday night programs. Just a few quick announcements before we begin. Please remember to observe social distancing and keeping up your mask. And please keep your phone on silent at all times, please. And in addition, after tomorrow, so Sunday night, we have our Mawlid, which is the celebration of the birth of Imam Mahdi, Ajallahu Ta'ala Farajah Sharif. Our English program being at 6 o'clock, 6 p.m., and our Arabic program being at 7. So please don't forget to join us there as well. Inshallah, the theme of our night will be being financially empowered, stocks, crypto, real estate, and more. And we have with us two distinguished guests, Hajj Wissam Bazzi and Brother Ali Bazzi, who will be speaking about the essence, which is being spiritual through your finances. So Hajj, does that mean my Lambo will get me closer to Allah? Much faster. 0 to 60. Inshallah. Ilahi ameen. Once we get that Lambo. So please help me welcome our distinguished guests to the stage after a loud salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
It's a pleasure to be here. I think we can start off with just like a brief introduction. Hajj, would you like to go first? Just tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين أبي القاسم محمد وعلى آل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين. First of all, thank you guys for, again, coming out. MashaAllah. It's the first time I really see it heavier on the brother's side than the sister's side. So this is something that's kind of weird to look at from up here. But alhamdulillah, this is good. This is good. Yes, it's more inclined on us, so it's good. So overall, alhamdulillah, I've kind of taken perspective on this to kind of move to this side of understanding money. Like, why is money important? Why are finances important? What does it mean to be financially empowered? With me, what I did is tried to understand that, because in the beginning, I had a really weird understanding of money. I didn't know how to think about money, especially religion. What does it say about money? And a lot of us, we struggle with that. Should I seek? Should I go? Or is money's evil? It's the root of all evil. It even says that in the Bible. So I went on a journey and to try to figure that out. I was reading books and I was going through stuff, and I needed to know. So what I did is I really took a hard line and just went for certain things that I wanted to achieve. And when I did that, I became the VP of Business Development for like a multi-million-dollar company. I was the national sales director for a certain company as well. And I began to understand, okay, is it the money that makes you, or are you the person who makes the money? Which thing controls which? When I did that, I actually went through a phase where I started speaking. And I started speaking on a corporate level. I was on stage with people like Les Brown, David Goggins, Jarek Robbins, the son of Tony Robbins. And I was representing at that kind of level. And those are like the top people in the motivational industry. So when I kind of was sharing that stage through the company, obviously, I was working for, and it was a great company, you begin to realize the kind of empowerment that you can attain through financial stability, financial strength, an ability to move, and not just move people within our culture. I have many clients who are not within our faith, not within our language, not within, I have people from all over the world. And it gave me a stage to speak at a completely different level. I got then nominated to speak at the corporate headquarters of Amazon. Then from there, I had a TED Talk, and just things keep building from one step to the next. When I decided to kind of move on from there, what I did is basically I started becoming a coach, a life coach, empowerment coach. And what I do overall is I take your life and I help you manage it at a completely different level. And basically, it's a 6-step process. It's finances, family and relationships, self-development / character development, spirituality, community and networking, and your own health. These are the 6 categories you have to balance in life. And once you understand that, it's amazing when people start coming up through this program. And in certain companies that I was involved with, you have people who are like 22 to 25 years of age, some of them making $200,000 to $500,000 a year. That's a lot of money. But these programs can really help you get to a whole nother level. And we will discuss further what it means to have money. How do you take money and you actually empower yourself as a person, and not just empowerment in terms of being able to buy something. No, empower your own heart, where you take yourself to another level and you utilize money in the right way, in the right path, and what happens there, where you take yourself spiritually to another level. You can be a financial giant, but a spiritual giant as well, through money. How do you utilize that? That's the key. So we'll talk about that a little bit as we move forward. But that's what I do now. I'm essentially a life coach. And I speak alhamdulillah, I've been almost all over the United States. I've been overseas as well. And I'm grateful to have kind of stepped into those shoes, because I really enjoy and I love what I do. And I love empowering people. And I love showing people that, okay, you know what? You could do something that's really phenomenal. And I'll give you a quick example on with this. Just one of my clients just got to be, we were together last year, and just today he called me and he's like, I just became the CEO of the whole company, which is a huge company. And we were sitting down, and once we sat down last year, he told me, is that possible? I said, anything is possible. And he actually did it. This is the power you want to go after. But at the end of the day, your shoulders have to hold that weight. So.
Thank you, Hajj. So my background isn't as exciting as Hajj Wissam's. But for me, I guess, just to kind of summarize it, I'm still on the journey to it. I'm still learning. And then something that the Hajj mentioned is, does the money define you, or is it you that brings the money? And so that's kind of where I'm at right now, is just kind of reflecting on that, and then just kind of understanding how money and character and ambition and having a vision in life, how that plays a role in your income. So actually, Hajj, since I mentioned it again, I actually wanted to talk to you about it some more, and that is how does money define a person? Does the money define them, or is it the other way around?
I think that's an excellent question. And let me just say right off the bat, what our religion states about money. We have to understand this, because there's a major misunderstanding and a concept that needs to be kind of eradicated. That there's two concepts: contentment and asceticism, which is contentment, rida, and asceticism, which is zuhd. We take these concepts to be content, to be satisfied. I should be satisfied with the lowest amount of money. I should be satisfied by disconnecting myself from this world. I should be indifferent, to having money. Is that what it means? That's not what it means. It's a wrong way of understanding. So we have to understand those two concepts. So the first thing is, money is not evil. It's not an evil thing. What you do with money is evil. When we understand that, and I can sit here and tell you that some people do a lot of crazy things using the Quran. And they justify it through that. So anything can be looked at as evil, but it's what you do with it at the end of the day. So we have to get that out of the way. When you understand that money is not evil, then you begin to understand, okay, so should I pursue it? How should I think about it? How should I feel? Should I love money? Should I not love money? Wait, love money? What? Are you, something wrong with you? It's a ni'mah of Allah. To love it as a means to Allah, it's the most beautiful thing you can have. It's part of your own spirituality. So these two meanings don't mean that you should settle and take the religion and it holds you around your neck and you should never try to accumulate any kind of wealth or assets in this life because we blame the religion for that. The religion doesn't say that. It, literally in the Quran, it says, Al-malu wal-banun zinatu hayatud dunya. It says, wealth and children are the adornments of this world. But further, we'll get into it a little bit further, but at the end of the day, we have to get that concept out of the way. Money is not evil. Seeking money is not evil. As long as money is a means to attaining the hereafter. And money becomes a means of you giving it to other people. You taking care of your community. You giving your knowledge when you need to. That's why you strive for that. So you connect it on that level. And I'll finish with this. In the Quran it says, وَالضُّحَى وَاللَّيْلِ إِذَا سَجَى مَا وَدَّعَكَ رَبُّكَ وَمَا قَلَى وَلَلْآخِرَةُ خَيْرٌ لَكَ مِنَ الْأُولَى. Allah states that surely the hereafter is better for you than the now. The target is there. That's what we have to understand. If you connect zuhd and rida properly, you will realize that the end goal is where? It's the hereafter. Inna ila rabbikal muntaha. Surely you're going to meet Allah. The goal is to get to who? Allah. That's the first, you'll attain the first level there. The second is this. It states, وَلَا تَنْسَ نَصِيبَكَ مِنَ الدُّنْيَا. On that level, now you start to understand. I need to go after this world. But for what reason? For what reason? So I can accumulate to help others, to do the right thing. And I'm not attached. My heart is not attached to the money. My heart is attached to where? To the hereafter. This is the key point in terms of checking your own heart. Here's the key. You want to know if you have it? If you have indifference in your heart, when you lose something, when you lose money, you make a bad deal, your stocks go down, what happens to your heart? In the Quran it states, don't get upset at what you have lost. And don't get overexcited with what you have gained. That's a zuhd. So on that level, the Quran states that. So when you lose something, Are you attached to it? Do you get mad? Are you upset? Or when you gain something, do you start showing off? Do you want the people to see? Check your heart when that happens, and you'll know if you are truly attached to material or attached to where? To the hereafter. If it's truly a means and you lose it, it doesn't matter because you're hitting your target anyway. If it's truly a means and you say to yourself, money is a means to Allah. So that's these two concepts we have to define in terms of you have to kind of sign those on your own heart. Contentment and what? Indifference of the heart. You have to understand the emotional code first.
Thank you, Hajj. So actually, Hajj, as you were speaking, I remembered something. So at work, I never mentioned what I do. So like career-wise, I'm a sales manager at a local business. And so part of my job is training, the sales staff and overseeing, all their sales and stuff. And part of that is also like getting involved in their personal lives, and understanding like what kind of goals they have for themselves that they're trying to achieve. And then how can they make their job kind of be a means to getting to those goals. And so something that my trainer taught me and that I pass on to, the sales staff is I tell them, what's your target that you're trying to reach? And there's a reason why I call it a target and not a goal. So a target is where you want to be at the end, right? So like Hajj Wissam mentioned, the hereafter would be your target. And then between you and the target, you got to have goals, right? And those goals are going to get you the means to getting to the target. And then, from there, once you hit those goals, it can go either way. Your reaction and how you react once you hit those goals, it can determine, whether you're still on the path to reaching your target or not. And so, Hajj, how do we find our target, and then how do we make sure that we're working towards that target?
Excellent. As we said, once you understand those two parts, let's get into a little bit of business, okay? If you are looking towards business, you need to start looking into accounting. It's the number one thing. So any business, any formulation, if you are, let's say the target is to kind of hit that target. Let's say we're here to talk business, okay? Business is a 50-50 trade that's satisfactory for both sides. I'm going to repeat that. Business is a 50-50 trade that's satisfactory for both sides. And when you understand that in business, I have to lay out what? My expectations. I have to tell you what I want. We have a lot of trouble with this overall. We use relationship rules for business rules. I'm going to explain the difference in terms of the target. If business is our target, let's go into it just a little bit. What are relationship rules and what are business rules? Really quickly, okay? Relationship rules, one of the main rules of relationships is you give without wanting anything in return. Who agrees with that? Imagine you go into your, you get married, and then your husband comes in and he's like, you know what? We signed a contract, and all you guys go by is by your rights and his rights. God help you. Okay, at the end of the day, when you start understanding that relationships are when I give you something, I want nothing in return. I do it because I want you to be happy. I'm in servitude of my wife. I'm in servitude of my husband. Oh, okay, that came out wrong. Anyways, but from there, these days, Allah sa'adna. Anyways, sallallahu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. So, that's relationship rules. Business rules is a 50-50 trade, meaning I have to lay out my expectations for the other person. I have to state what I want. I have to tell the person, Here are my expectations. And the person says the same thing. I get what I want, and you get what you want. It's an exchange. So imagine right now, let's say when somebody hears the word business and it has a negative connotation. Let me show you why business is so important. Imagine you had to right now go home and you had to build a fire inside your basement. Because you know what? You don't want to trade with anyone because you don't want heat. Then you have to run the water. You have to go get water because you don't want to pay the utility bill. And then, you know what? I don't want to get gasoline because I don't want to trade. Why don't you try to invent every single one of those things? What would happen? Or when the heat bill comes, we're more than happy to what? Trade. We have to trade. So on that level, understand business is not a bad thing. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi, what did he do? What was he? He was a merchant. He was a businessman. So business is not bad. Okay. Here's what happens with this concept. A lot of us, we use relationship rules for what? Business rules. Why? Because we want people to trust us. I go into business with you because I trust you. And I tell you things, you know what? Let's not write things down. It's okay. As we say in our culture. It's okay. Doesn't matter. You're using a moral system. It doesn't work. You're going to destroy the relationship and you're going to destroy the business. Whenever you're trading with anyone, lay down your expectations. Have that be one of your goals in terms of a business understanding. When you do that and you understand the differences between both sides, then you go into business. You can have great business relationships and great personal relationships. A lot of my clients become my personal friends. Why? Because we do the business right. We don't get in financial trouble. We don't do that. Because you have to take care of the business side. Our community is growing in this. And I love it. I love what I'm seeing. Some of the youth are taking on some major projects. And some of them in business. Government. It's amazing what's happening in the community. So seek, drive, go. It doesn't matter. If you have a business sense, go after it. So the target, in terms of that. And I'll give you one more thing, just really quick. If you want goals, there are 3 types of goals. Process, performance, and outcome goals. Okay? I'm going to repeat that. I'm going to repeat it. Process, performance, and outcome goals. What are these? A process goal, I'll start with the end. An outcome goal, think of an outcome as something like your final grade in the semester. Okay? That's an outcome goal. A performance goal and a performance measure is something that's your grade, let's say, on an exam. And a process goal is the way you study. So let's say you get your exam and you got a C and you didn't like it. That means your process, the way you study, is not correct. So you have to understand these things in the way they work. Process, performance, and outcome goals. Once you understand the stepping stone process, you can really set things up. Man, you can set a goal like a year to 2 years to 5 years from now. You can hit it. Even early. If you just understand how this stuff works. Your mind is programmed to get certain things. And it's amazing if you download the right information in it. And how you can take leadership over certain things. So those are some of the things I would tell you. So understand the way goals work. but understand also how business works versus relationships.
Hajj, just kind of build off of what you said. I think that also understanding like your why,
Yes.
why you do what you
Yes.
do, why you're doing what you're doing. I think that really influences your goals, really helps you with attaining the targets that you're trying to attain, attaining those goals that you're trying to hit. Like an example of this, I remember like when I was training one of my colleagues, she just didn't have any motivation at work, like zero motivation. And, we work in sales and like, Hajj, I think you can agree, nobody has the potential that a salesperson has. Like when it comes to money, nobody has the potential that a salesperson has. Yes. Because a salesperson owns their income. You work hard, you get rewarded for it. You don't work hard, you get, equally what you put in. And so for her, I just saw that there was no motivation. And so, from talking to her, I asked her, I'm like, why did you get a job to begin with? She's living with her mom. She's divorced. She's got a daughter. And I told her, why'd you work? I mean, if your mother, she does well and, she's taking care of you and your daughter, why did you get this job then? Why would you do this to yourself? Why would you put yourself through this? And the more we started talking to her, the more she realized, like, she just wants a better life for her daughter. That's what's motivating her, is her daughter. And so we focused a lot on that, and just her changing her perspective, changing her mindset, and seeing her daughter as her driving force. Instantly, like we saw a difference in her numbers. Her work got new meaning. There was new definition to what she was doing, because now she had a purpose. She knew her why. Right? Would you agree with that, Hajj?
Yes,
yeah.
Absolutely.
So talk a
Sure.
Yeah.
I'll build off what you just said. So the first thing that comes to mind as you're kind of elaborating, how many people here don't like sales? Raise your hand. It's okay. Raise your hand. How many people? Well, sales. How many? Okay, here, let me say this. How many people think a salesperson is evil? Oh, see, you laugh. Those are giggles for a reason. Because there's a negative connotation to sales. What are you trying to sell me? Okay? So as soon as someone tries, let me give you a little bit of psychology first. When someone tries to sell you something, there's a part of your brain that activates. And it's called counter-argumentation. I start looking for what's behind your words. And I start checking. This doesn't feel right. Something feels wrong. You're trying to pitch me something. So sales is looked at that way. A salesperson, per se, is looked at as someone who's not someone who's, let's say, kind or gentle, or they're trying to get one over you. I'm sorry, you're in sales too. Every single person is in sales. Because Allah has programmed it that way. Embedded in choice is sales. I'll give you an example. Call me. We'll role play. This is what salespeople do. Let's role play. Okay? So call me.
Ring.
But I'm going to pretend okay, I can't say it's my wife. I can't use it. Okay. I'm just using all the wrong examples tonight. Let's say, okay, he's my friend, not my wife. Let's say, call me. Go ahead.
Ring.
Click. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Call me again. That was supposed to be a joke. Anyways, go ahead.
Ring.
Hello.
Hi, Wissam.
Habibi, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm excellent. What are you doing?
Just giving a talk. What are you doing?
MashaAllah. Right now? And you called me?
Yep.
I feel very special. Okay. After the talk, what are you doing?
I go to sleep.
Sleep?
Yeah.
What time?
10.
What?
Yeah.
10 o'clock?
Yep.
Are you serious? Listen, how about we go out and do something?
What do you have in mind?
You know what? I was thinking of grabbing something to eat.
I don't know, man. I got work in the morning.
Come on, man. It's okay. Listen, Italian. I know you're hungry.
I do like Italian.
Okay.
I don't know.
You know what? Chinese.
Chinese?
How about oyaki? We have oyaki.
Okay. I haven't had Chinese in a while, but you sure they're open right now?
Okay. You know what? I'll call and check. I'll pick you up in 15. Just get ready. Click.
All right.
Okay. See,
That was a hard close.
but at the end of the day, why is that important? I have to learn how to negotiate. And I'm going to give you some numbers. I just negotiated with him. When you start understanding, you know what? I'll role play with the audience now. Give me a second. Okay. When was the first time you sold something? Give me something. The first time you sold something. Go ahead. Okay. How old were you? Okay. 8th grade. Excellent. Anybody younger? Anybody sold something at a younger age? Go ahead. Yes. I'm sorry? A lemonade stand. Excellent. How old were you? 1st grade, mashallah. Okay. Anybody earlier? You raised your hand. True. Yes. Excellent. Excellent. Okay. So now let me take you even further. When you first come out of your mother's womb, don't you cry? Don't you influence someone? Don't you think that's a sale? That's a sale. Sales is being able to influence, because embedded in decisions is sales. Embedded in choice is sales. Allah has given us choice. That means you have to pick right or left. I'll take it even further with you. It's 2 o'clock in the morning. You're walking downstairs and your stomach is just, it's calling you because you're hungry. And you're just walking through the kitchen and you look left and there's the fridge. And you remember there's double chocolate cake. And now you're just standing there. Should I go? Should I not go? And your foot just starts moving on its own. Doesn't even ask you, it just goes on its own. And now you're standing in front of the fridge. And you open the door and there's the cake. And it's got fruit inside of it too. And now you got whipped cream. Should I eat the cake or not eat the cake? Eat the cake? MashaAllah. Oh, you guys. Allah sa'adku. Anyways, diabetes.com. Okay. So on that level, I even sold myself. That's a sale. Every decision you make is an option you chose. That's a sale. When you understand that, sales is embedded in decision making. That's the first thing. Second thing, listen to this please, okay? People who don't negotiate, who don't know how to negotiate, could you give me a percentage of influence that they have? People who don't learn negotiation skills and communication skills, can anyone tell me how many out of 100 conversations, how many conversations, no Kareem, not you, out of 100 conversations, how many conversations can they influence? 5? 20? Anybody? Anybody else? 0, that's death, man. You're going to get lucky sometimes. You're going to stumble over something. Okay, it's actually 2%. It's 2%. That's what studies indicate. Some other studies say a little bit more, but it's about 2%. Does anybody know how many conversations you have per day? Don't look it up on Google, please. Don't ruin my punchline. Go ahead. 500. Okay, excellent. Way too high. Women talk about 8,000 words per day. Okay? Men, about 2,000. Okay? So, Really think about that one. I'm sorry, sisters, but mashallah, the talking comes from the other side. But, okay, so tell me. What is it? Okay, it's actually 27 conversations per day. The average person has 27 conversations per day. Times that by 365. You'll get 9,072 conversations per year. And imagine you can only influence at 2%. What do you think is going to happen to your self-esteem? If you don't know how to negotiate and communicate for yourself. Now take it further. Sales, you're not going through, hey, how are you conversations. I'm doing great conversations. You're so awesome. You're in customer service. That's not what you're doing. You're actually going to a person's door. You're knocking on the door, and you're going to get rejected. You're seeking rejection conversations. Those are much harder. Not a lot of people want to be rejected. And not a lot of people seek rejection. Those are much tougher conversations. When you get someone start to grow in their ability to negotiate, wow, you're becoming something different. So number one, the first law, sales is innate. Sales skills are life skills. That's number one. Number two, the average person without negotiation skills and communication skills can only influence at 2%. Number three, you have 27 conversations per day. Multiplied by 365, 972. 9,072 conversations per year. Imagine you can only influence at 2%. So you better learn how to negotiate and communicate for yourself. Because if you come across a person who's trained and who's seasoned in sales, you're going to lose. And you're going to lose big. And some of them don't have a moral code. But they know how to sell you your own shoes. And trust me, that concept is real. It's real. Some of the things, I'm not going to talk about myself, but some of the things that you can get someone to do, and I'll just end with this. I was giving a call. There was about maybe 150 people on the call. So it was a sales call. And you can get to such a point of influence that I told this person to do a trust fall. So I was showing about ability, your own ability. Do you trust your own ability? And I was giving an example of how that works. So I had two people come up, and you know how you lay two people behind each other, okay? And one person falls down, falls backwards, and the other person catches him. Then I told the person who's catching the other person to move away. And now the person is standing. And I told him to fall. And he did it. I'm like, I'm joking. What are you doing? But that's the kind of influence you can have. Now, alhamdulillah, a guy jumped out of nowhere and grabbed him at the last second. But the person did it. That's how far people will trust you, to that extent. So you gotta be very careful. When you come across, let's say you get weaponized with sales skills, you gotta be very careful with that. Because you can manipulate people very easily. So, at the end of the day, learn how to negotiate and communicate for yourself. Learn, because for the religion, you have to represent as well. You're a talking, walking billboard. Bottom line. كونوا دعاة لنا بغير ألسنتكم. That's a beautiful hadith. So you also have to sell. You sell your character. That when somebody does something wrong, you stand up. and you say no. When you walk into a business meeting and a woman reaches out her hand, you go like this, and you stand with your identity, and you don't move. And afterwards, everyone is talking. Oh my God, how did he do that? On stage, in front of everyone, he went like that to the person who was getting a prize. But then everybody goes to the CEO and says, man, we respect that guy. Those are not easy situations, but you stand, you represent, and you're not afraid. You hold your principles regardless of any situation. You hold that. You're proud. And I can give you some psychology about this. You have no idea how powerful this is. Even on a sales level, you have no idea. Everybody's doing it now. Alhamdulillah. COVID is, Allah's telling you, hey, stop, khalas, that's it. We're done. Oh, subhanallah.
So, just a disclaimer, not all salespeople are bad. Some of us are good. But I can definitely say that I've seen the two opposite spectrums, like the ones that are laid back and then the ones that are, that will sell you your shoes. Actually, like something that I think we should also talk about is stocks and crypto. And Hajj, I heard you're like really big on that. Yeah. So did we take Doji to the moon?
I think there's a beauty in learning how to trade. And trading is something very, very important. I think a lot of people do understand, what's happening with the world and how the world is actually changing. Now, let's answer the first question. Is stocks haram? Okay. A lot of people, first thing, okay, stocks are haram. Okay. Stocks are not haram, but what you buy may be haram. So you got to be very careful. Okay. So anything that you have, just refer to someone that's knowledgeable in terms of the trading factor. We have something called al-mu'amalat, and refer to that. If you're in business, you should learn these things. Okay? Learn how to trade. What happens religiously in a contract? If I leave the vicinity of a place, okay, does that mean that the contract is void or non-void? Can I return or not return? Okay, what does Islam say about these things? It's very important for you to understand. Is a verbal contract binding? Okay, if I tell you this, is it binding? These things are very important. You should learn these things. You have to if you're going to go into business. You should learn. Okay? You don't have to learn all the laws, but learn the laws. Learn the laws of business. So that's the general concept of that. So trading stocks is not haram. But there's many things that can be haram in the stock world. Okay? Meaning there are certain things that are connected in certain ways. And you don't know. There's like M&A companies, okay? Merger and acquisition companies. This is a blank check company, meaning some people get together. They put a bunch of money together. Okay? And they seek a company. Let's say a company's, I'm not going to say, there's a company actually that may do a reverse merger now, and it's a really bad company. I'm not going to say its name, but it was totally haram. But let's say you buy into that stock and not knowing that company is actually being bought. That's a problem. Okay? These things can be haram. So, yes and no. You have to do your homework. You have to understand what you're buying. Okay? So that's number one. Number two, don't be afraid of stocks. Okay? I'm going to give you just a small understanding from a person who's a laborer and a person who's an investor. A laborer trades their time for money. They exchange time for money. An entrepreneur, they put into their time value. They're constantly learning. They have to learn. They're not a trader, they're an investor. Let's say we have $100, $200, $500, $1,000. Let's say it's $1,000. The person who's an entrepreneur will invest first, then spend later on themselves. A person who's let's say, not an investor, doesn't understand the concept of investing, they will spend first, then invest later. Just traverse that, and I swear to you, you have no idea how far that will get you. Just that idea. Learn how to take $1 and make it $10. Employ your money. Your money is an employee to you. Every dollar it should be employed by you. You should tell it, hey, how you doing? And it's like, hey, I'm here. What do you want me to do? I need you to go out and get 10 more. Okay. The dollar comes back. Look, I got 10 more. Great. I didn't have to do anything. You did all the work. That's investing. So there's a difference between somebody who has that mindset and somebody who tries to save all the time. A lot of us, we just want to do what? I just want to put it in the bank. If it's in your pocket, it's in the wrong place. You should have it in something. Okay? I'm going to give you a total equation in terms of, then we'll refer back to the stocks. But I'm going to give you an equation of how you should spend your money. Okay? Take this down, please. Learn to live right now. Let's say you have $1,000 in the bank. Okay? Learn to live on 70% of your money. Okay? 70% of whatever you make, you can do it. A lot of people tell me, no, I'm like on the edge. Once I set this up with any client, they can do it. They can do it. So take 70% of your income, which is $700, and learn how to live on that. What should you do with the other 30%? Take 10% and give it away. Trade with Allah first. What does Allah say when you trade with Him? That's a guaranteed sale. That's guaranteed. You want anybody to hold your money? That's absolute trust. Athiqatu billah. That is beyond belief. That's the best trade you can do. And you can look in the Quranic verses of how much He gives back, and you can do your homework there. That's the best trade. Okay? Take 10% and give. Give it away. If you're, where's Zach? Where is he? Is he sleeping? Okay. If Zach has $1, teach him how to give away 10 cents. Take him somewhere like an orphanage. Take him somewhere where there old people exist, and have them give a dime. Once they see that, even kids, it's amazing what will happen. Just give a dime. 10 cents. 10%. Number 2, the other 10%. You should trade with that 10%. Take $100 and buy something. And make it 200. Learn how to invest. Learn how to trade. Learn how to buy and sell. It's very easy. You said lemonade stand, right? Okay? You were first grade. Okay, mashallah, excellent. Learn how to trade. Third 10%. See if someone has more knowledge than you. And give them that $100. And say, you know what? You have more knowledge than I do. Invest this for me. This is passive income now. You have no idea what you've just learned if you just do those 3 things. And what you can attain on a business level. Now you're talking passive income. You can teach this to kids. It's very simple. It's not hard. 70% live on that income. First 10%, give it away. That's an investment in your hereafter. Okay? Learn how to invest. Number 2, you invest and buy and sell. Learn how to trade. And number 3, give it to someone who knows more than you, and who can trade that for you. Stocks, with me, alhamdulillah, I have a mentor who is, mashallah, okay? A whole nother level. Reason being is I've taken interest in these things, and he was willing to mentor me. Stocks are not easy, but if you get into stocks, you will understand the worldly globe. You will understand why things work. You have to understand economics. You have to. Know where your money is going. Track it. Understand it. We have to. We have to pay khums at the end of the year. You should be afraid of khums. Because if you don't pay your khums, I'm sorry, you're eating haram. Think about that. What you buy is haram. You're stealing. That money is not yours. Allah has given it to you, and you have it for a time, but you have to allocate it properly. So take account. You have to take account. Accounting is huge. So on that level, stocks overall are not bad. Some of it is. Be careful and use that recipe, inshallah, so you can help yourself move forward.
Okay, so we got some questions from the audience. We're just going to go through and answer them. But I believe Hajj covered 2 of them. One was if I have extra money, should I invest it or donate it? I think
both.
Yeah. And then how would khums work with stocks or investments? I think we covered that too.
Okay.
So Hajj, we got a couple questions that are very specific about stocks. So what are options, ETFs, index funds, futures? So can you briefly summarize those?
When you have calls and puts, and those are option trading. Okay. An option is pretty much you buy a contract and you rent. It's almost like renting. It's renting someone else's stocks. Okay? I'm going to simplify it as much as possible. And you actually buy a contract where you can be in the money, out of the money, at the money. You could do these things. That's not hard. I'm not going to go too far into that. It is somewhat twisted to understand a little bit, but there's a lot of videos on YouTube, whatever. There's a lot of stuff there, okay? I don't recommend option trading at the beginning. I don't recommend that. I don't recommend that you set that up as your front line and front goal. Don't do that. Start with simple goals. Start with simple stocks. I would tell you, take that 10%. Let's say you have $1,000. And invest it in common stocks, okay? Look into a stock. Get an idea, do your research. Go, if you really want something, I can help you. Seek other people who are here. There's a lot of people who really know this stuff. And the youth especially is waking up to this stuff at a greater level to make money very early. So go towards common stocks first. Then if you get really seasoned and you're capable, go into options. Me personally, I'm not going to say too much on it, but I don't do options. There's a reason I think I'm not sure about in terms of even our religion. So I don't go towards options because there's certain things that I'm just not comfortable with. Okay? I'm not going to tell you not to do it. If you're good at it, do it. Okay? Then there's swing trading. Okay? There are investors. There are traders. Some people are like day traders. They're in there 24/7. They're buying, selling every single day. Some people are more like investors. They take a stock and they buy really early, okay? And then they hold on to it for a longer period of time. I tend to do stuff like that a little bit more. But sometimes I day trade, okay? What I would tell you overall, get a really good mentor. If you can find one, get a really good mentor. You can make a lot of money in stocks, but you can lose a lot of money as well. You got to know what you're doing. But at the end of the day, don't be afraid. Please don't be afraid. Take $50 and just put it in there. What do you got? It's $50. It's $50. 2 meals. Okay? 2 meals, $25. Okay, put it in there. Find a stock that you think is okay. Do your research and go from there. Then you get a little more courageous. Now you wake up tomorrow and it's like, oh my God, it's $100. I made $50. Wow. And you know, like, I'm getting good at this. Then you put in all your $1,000 and the next day you lose it all. Do you have zuhud? Do you really care about what happened? Or you're like pulling out your hair? So in terms of these kinds of things, I would tell you, number one, just get a really good mentor. I have 2, 3 mentors myself. I never lose my mentors. These people are like anchored in my life. And alhamdulillah, do that. Get a financial person who can help you. Get someone, if you want to get into business, most people don't understand this concept. Number one, the accounting thing that I told you about, take account. Number 2, most people don't understand the industry they're in. Understand your industry. Understand the competition. Especially if you want to get into business. Most people don't do enough. Because you're in competition. The second you entered a sector in business, you are in competition. Understand that. So you have to know your industry. You have to know your competitors. You have to know who's around you. Who's trying to knock you down. Because they will. So overall, that's that.
So actually, since you mentioned mentors, I did want to mention, like I too have a mentor, and so like my mentor, he's been helping me for the last 3 years, and this is where I was, and then like had I just stayed just me by myself without a mentor, I probably would have been right here, but with a mentor, you go way higher. And the reason why is because your mentor should be somebody that knows more than you, somebody that is kind of like your third eye. They see what you don't see. When you are like in the midst of things, like I can speak, like just my experience with my business. There were times where like I was really stressed, I was really down, and I was lucky enough to have my mentor there to help me see things through and not let my emotions get the best of me, not let my emotions block me from seeing the potential that I have. So really like, I think that's like something very important. I think we should all have a mentor. And the fact that you have 3, I'm assuming that each one covers like a different aspect of your life. Yeah. Yep. So yeah.
Go ahead.
Yes.
Okay, I always talk about mentors because if I wouldn't be here without mentorship. I honestly am telling you that. I think we don't understand that in our community. I don't think we really understand to what extent that is needed. That's why I always say it. I've had certain situations, just to give you an example, where I couldn't give the verdict. I couldn't, and you're talking sometimes millions of dollars. You're making a decision on millions of dollars. And like, I'll give you an example. The last decision was $2.7 million. And I had to make the decision with the CEO of the company. So the situation took a really awkward turn. And it pushed me to such a point that it was outside my knowledge. I didn't have the knowledge because now there's so many variables that actually activated. It was just amazing where this thing ended up. Who do you think I called? And then it turned so far that we had to actually call a jurist at a very high level. Why? Because it's outside your knowledge base. So mentorship is very important. Because at the end of the day, when you run out of information and you have nowhere to go and you give your own opinion, good luck. Because you won't stay a mentor for very long. So it's very important to understand that first of all. Second thing, how do you find a mentor? Number one, ask Allah Azza wa Jal. That's the first thing. I was in a situation and I didn't want my friends anymore. I didn't want certain people in my life. And I just asked Allah. I said, Allah, help me. And I swear to you, 2 weeks later, I went somewhere, came back, I was a different person. I left all my friends. I'm not telling you to leave your friends, okay? If they're good people, leave them. So, but at the end of the day, that's what happened. From there, I found mentorship from higher people. So ask Allah. That's number two. Number three, there are many people who are coaching now, okay? In the community. How many of you have heard of life coach now? Okay, everyone has heard, everyone understands what that is. It's just a booming industry now. So there are people who can do that. I myself, I'm setting up a program. I have a program, and it's based on these concepts of mentorship. So I've taken a lot of the corporate end, and I've brought it to the community factor, where hopefully if the community is willing, I'm more than willing, for me as a person. And I'm also training, people how to be mentors and how to take on a certain level. Ali is here, Ali Abu Khudr. He just got certified as a life coach. And there's another person who's going to be certified as well, and Ali's working with me. So these things are starting to happen. But what we literally do is we run a program about finances. I have a kid right now, mashallah, he just hit 18 years. He's 18 in a little bit. He's made about $40,000 in stocks. Okay? He just turned 18. Mashallah, another guy who's also here just bought a house. He's 19, but he's also building for other houses now. So they're under 20. So we have an under 20 program, and that's what we're trying to do. I have kids, mashallah, who are right now 13, 14, 15 years of age. And usually the program, if you truly want to be trained, it will take you about 2 years of hard work. 2 years. If you can hit the 2-year level, then the third year is much easier. But if you can hit 3 years of mentorship, for me, when I was being mentored, it took me 5 years. I was under somebody for 5 hard years. Well, you don't say, I want to do this and I want to, no. They tell you, no, do that. And that's it. That's mentorship. You give up control. Not a lot of people want to give up control. They want, the ego's too big. I know everything and so. No, submission of the ego is very important. So these are some of the things that we're doing for the community, inshallah. Inshallah, that I really believe it's gonna do really well. I really believe, because alhamdulillah, I have clients who have been with me, and the same program that I ran with them, I'm running now here. And some of the stuff that I've sold, alhamdulillah, in terms of my content, for thousands and thousands of dollars, I'm making it readily available for people for just pennies on the dollar in terms of what it's really has costed other companies. So what I'm trying to do is give some kind of leeway for you to kind of expand yourself. But to me, here's the key. Learn how to spend on yourself, because you're not a cheap product. You're not. I've spent thousands and thousands of dollars on my own what? Development. One class I took just to learn how to speak. It was 2 years ago. Cost me $6,000. You have no idea how much money I've made from that $6,000. That's an investment. When I invest that, I can quadruple it. I can take it 10 times higher with the information I just learned. So on that level, we're trying to give you as much mentors as possible. It's there. Suspend your ego. Be willing to pay for your own, you know what I mean? A lot of you want to become doctors, almost $500,000 in debt. You know, that's literally what's happening. You're investing into your future. That's what you're doing. So learn how to do that, because you're responsible for your own knowledge. And at the end of the day, you're not a cheap product. Don't take yourself as cheap. And when somebody asks me, you know, with my friends, when somebody wants to give me let's say I go to one of Jalal was here last week. Jalal's a lawyer. And I called him up one day and I told him, Jalal, listen, I need a contract. I just got this contract. I need you to write up a contract. He's like, okay, Hajj, no problem, whatever. Then it comes time to pay. But me and him are what? Business. Don't go into a relationship. I don't want relationship. This is what I told him. I said, teach me how to invest in a good product. Don't give me a deal. I don't want a deal from you. I want you to take what you have, when all that time and that money, you spent all that time and that money just to learn that information. Don't give me a deal. I don't want a deal. Don't teach me how to save. Teach me how to invest in a good product. He gave me a little bit off. I was happy with that. That's all I wanted. Let's treat each other that way. Let's reward the hierarchy of knowledge. Let's reward it. Don't be afraid. Somebody comes to you and says, okay, I'll do this for $100. You know it's worth 500. Give them 400. Can you do that? That's not easy to do. Can we reward each other like that? Or is your money so, it's like, oh, no way, I can't let it go. Because it's so attached to your heart. So, we're trying to do that, inshallah. And inshallah, talk to me afterwards, and I can kind of guide you in terms of these kinds of things. But listen, the community is a beautiful community. It's a beautiful community. Subhanallah, how far. Like Jalal says something beautiful all the time. He says, we stand on the shoulders of giants. We do, mashallah. Our forefathers, in a way, what they laid down is amazing. Go after it. Go after business. Make wealth. There's nothing wrong with that. But learn how to use it.
All right, so Hajj, as you were speaking, and to answer your question, Janan, so there's something that I heard from an author by the name of Earl Nightingale, where he says, the things that are most valuable to us, we got for free, and the things that we pay for are basically worthless, okay? So what does that mean? Like, what are some things that we got for free? Like our body, our mind, that's the biggest thing. And then what are some things that we pay for? A house and a Lamborghini, right? So if your house burns down, you can replace it. If your Lamborghini, you crash it, you can replace it. But if your mind, if something happens to your brain, can you replace that? You can't. So invest in your brain. Focus on investing, growing growing your knowledge, becoming a better person. Let that be your focus, and don't focus too much on the material things, because the material things, they come and go. But what's in here, it's going to stay with you for till you die. And so I'll tell you guys a story about how I met my mentor. It was actually right outside where that, the thing to check your temperature. It was right out there. I was setting up for AHV Trends, my business, and he came up to me and he started moving things around. He's like, yeah, you got your whole display wrong. And he started moving things around, and he was explaining to me why I had to set it up in a certain way. He was telling me like you have to have everything symmetrical. Like, you know, your displays have to be centered and then just, you know, build from the center out because it's more appealing to the, you know, to the eye and all that. And then up to that point, I never let anybody tell me how to do what I'm doing. Like, it's the ego, you know, my ego was so high that like, look, this is what I started. I'm gonna build this, and you know, it's gonna be my name that people are saying. And so when he came up to me and started telling me all these things, I realized how little I knew about how to run a business. And so like I started asking him questions, and then you know that we talked for like a good 2 hours, and then we met up like a week later, and then we've been meeting ever since. And I know it sounds like a love story, and that's because like when you have a mentor, it really does become a love story. It's you know, this is the person you go to.
It's much worse.
Yeah. I mean, if I could marry him, I would.
See, I told you I was saying the wrong thing.
Yeah. No, I know what I'm saying. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, having a good mentor is really important, and you know, just put your ego to the side. You know, we see the world so one way that it hurts when somebody else tries to come and tell us that no, maybe you should start looking at it from this perspective. But sometimes we do need that. Like a lot of us do need that. And I think this would be a good time to conclude. I'm sorry we didn't get to all the questions. But thank you, Hajj Wissam.
Thank you.
And thank you guys for the opportunity. Yeah.
صلوا على محمد وآل محمد.
Thank you, Hajj Wissam. Thank you, Brother Ali. So, Hajj, final answer. Get that Lambo or no? Buy that Lambo? With my GME and Tesla money? Orange Lambo? Ilahi Ameen. Thank you so much for your presentation. Let's have another loud salawat.